Hey, this is Michael Gannon, the founder and creator of Yoga Loft Playa del Carmen in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. And I wanted to take just about 5 or 10 minutes to briefly go over the key components of the Ashtanga Vinyasa yoga practice. For me, these are the foundations of the practice, the things we have to have clear in the mind and in the body before we actually begin to breathe and move in the practice. And those key components are the breath, bandhas, vinyasa, and dristi. The first one and the most important is the breath. The way we breathe in Ashtanga Vinyasa yoga is very important. So first of all, the mouth is closed. We breathe in and out through the nose, always. No need to open your mouth during the practice. Okay, all the prana, all the life force energy comes in and out through the nose. When we breathe through the nose, a couple important things happen. We warm the breath, we humidify the breath, we slightly cleanse the breath, and we activate the breath with prana or life force. So all these things help the breath come into the lungs less harsh, less intense, easier for us to receive it, and able to start having the benefits from that prana-rich breath right away. And the correct way we breathe through the nose is not through the tip of the nose, but in the back. I like to say to breathe behind the sinuses and above the throat. This is where we find what I call the Ujjayi valve. Ujjayi means victorious, and we call this type of breathing victorious breath, Ujjayi breath. So instead of this kind of sound here, let the sound happen behind the sinuses and above the throat. It's not just all in the throat, and it's just not all nasal. It's somewhere in between the two of those. Okay, that's where we find this Ujjayi valve. Our late Guru Pattabhi Jois used to say, breathe, make noise. Sound breathing is there. So you want to make this kind of raspy, rough action sound behind the sinuses above the throat. Now I'm exaggerating the sound a little bit so you can feel it, so you can hear it. But actually, it's not so intense that all the people practicing around you can hear it and feel it. It's more for you to feel it and hear it inside yourself. So to do a little experiment with me now, if you take your palms of your hands, put them over your ears, kind of creating this echo effect, as if you were putting up a big conch shell at the ocean against your ear to hear the ocean. Put your hands on your ears and breathe through your nose like this. You'll notice if the breath is going in and out through the tip of the nose, you won't feel much. But if you move it back to the Ujjayi valve, behind the sinuses above the throat, you can feel and hear that echoing inside your head. The point is, that's enough. It's for you to hear and feel inside. Not necessarily, doesn't have to be really strong and powerful, okay? If you can hear it and feel it inside, then it's working. This type of breathing will also help us create a little more awareness in the bandhas and create that inner energy and stoke that fire, okay? And that sound breathing also helps keep us present. It becomes our dharana, our focus point. Helps keep us to the here and now all throughout our practice. So whenever you find yourself getting lost or distracted in your practice, immediately bring yourself back to your breath where you can hear and feel the breath. The second key component is the bandhas. The breath is only so powerful and useful until we add the energetic seals. Some people think of the bandhas as locks. I prefer the word seals. A seal is something that you can open all the way, close all the way, or find somewhere in between. A lock, you lock it, it's closed or it's open. You can't have partially open. So it's important for us to be able to regulate the flow of the energy in the body, just like with our breath that we do with the Ujjayi valve. The bandhas, the energetic seals, help us do the same thing. Okay? And the two important energetic seals or bandhas that we use throughout the practice is Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha. So first of all, Mula Bandha is right at the base of the spine, at your root. So you just activate the base of the spine around the sphincter. Guruji, Pattabhi Jois used to say to us, squeeze your anus you take. Okay, this is how we engage Mula Bandha, to prevent the energy that we breathe in through the Ujjayi valve from just escaping out the bottom. It's really that simple. We used to always try to make it complicated with Guruji and ask questions like, well, Guruji, is it the same for man and women, the pelvic floor versus something around the prostate? And he would say, you have anus? You take, no problem. So he kept it very simple. Okay, so you squeeze the roots so the prana doesn't go out the bottom. This allows it to move up. Again, the Mula Bandha is subtle. You don't have to squeeze super strong. Okay, that'll create too much restriction in the energy. And then we move upward into Uddiyana Bandha. Uddiyana Bandha means to fly upward. So we tuck the navel inward and upward. So when you're breathing, we're not going to be doing belly breathing. This is not happening in our practice. Instead, we draw the navel inward toward the spine and slightly upward. This inward, upward energy helps lift us upward in general. Okay, so instead of flooding the belly, we want to flood the heart and lungs with this life force, with this prana. Okay, this movement also helps us create space between the vertebrae for our forward bends, for our twists, even in back bends. So no belly breathing, not falling down tamasically. We want to tuck it in and upward, lifting the energy up. Okay. This will make you more light and free, more floaty in your practice, both standing poses as well as seated poses. And the Uddiyana Bandha pushes the prana, the life force, up around the heart and lungs where we can better use it. Now you might think, okay, there's another bandha we use called Jalandhar Bandha, the chin seal. Well, technically, Jalandhar Bandha we only use in pranayama when we do kumbhakas, where we lift the chest and lower the chin, and we don't breathe. In your asana practice, you want to always be breathing. The breath is either moving in or out. We don't hold the breath, we don't pause. It's always flowing. In pranayama is when we stop and hold the breath and do Jalandhar Bandha. So if you're thinking, well, there's lots of poses that we actually lift the chest and lower the chin, or when we do shoulder stand, the legs go up and the chin is tucked in tightly. Yes, these are making the Jalandhar Bandha position, but we're still breathing fully. What you hear me say when I'm teaching in classes is you're lifting your chest, lowering your chin in the Jalandhar Bandha position, but the breath is still flowing fully. So technically, it's not Jalandhar Bandha. Mula Bandha, squeezing the roots. Uddiyana Bandha, tucking and lifting the belly, are the two bandhas we want to use throughout the practice. Ultimately, use them all the time. You're going to find that they come and go, okay, and that's natural. But if you can maintain them at least when you're in the state of an asana, like when you're in downward facing dog, or you're in a forward bend, or you're in a twist, and then once you start moving, if you start to lose them, that's okay. As soon as you get to the state of the asana on the other side, you realize, my bandhas. And you'll realize that they weren't there, you'll activate them. The more that you realize that you weren't activating them, the more you're becoming aware of it. Okay? And eventually you'll just be able to maintain them throughout the practice. This takes time. The third component is vinyasa. This is also very important because vinyasa, or breath and movement, the connection of our movements led by our breath, is what makes Ashtanga Vinyasa yoga special. And actually, not just Ashtanga Vinyasa yoga, but all the types of Vinyasa-based yoga, power yoga, flow yoga, Vinyasa yoga, Om yoga, Rocket yoga, Jivamukti yoga, etc., Prana yoga, many, many things like this are all just derivatives of the original Ashtanga Vinyasa system. This idea of moving and breathing with the breath. So it's like a science. Every pose we do, inhale, take the arms out. Exhale, take the hands to the waist. Inhale, lift the chest and gaze up. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, jump through. Take the foot. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, lift the chest up. All those are vinyasas. So every time you move, you want to try to let the breath lead the way. Okay. Many people understand that vinyasa is breath and movement, but sometimes there's confusion of which happens first or which is more important. They're both important, but if we had to make one more important, just like we started with the breath is most important. We start to breathe, and then the body starts to move. We don't want to move and then start to breathe, all right? So vinyasa is always something we're aware of for all the movements, all of the breath and movements throughout the practice. And then the last key component is what we call dristi. Dristis are looking places or gazing places. So throughout the practice, we're instructed to look at the tip of the nose, the third eye, up to the sky, at the fingertips, at one hand, at the toes, at the navel, to one side or the other side. There's 9 different dristis that throughout the practice we're guided to direct our attention. This keeps us from being distracted, looking around the room, or anytime we see something or hear something, having to look at it. It also helps create an energetic effect internally with what we're doing with the breath and the bandhas. So the dristis is something that slowly starts to become natural as well. Okay, so there you have it, the 4 key components of the Ashtanga Vinyasa yoga practice: breath, bandhas, vinyasa, and dristi. Okay. When you're starting out, when you're new to the practice, these will come and go. You will forget about them. Okay. But slowly, the more you continue to try to activate them to maintain your awareness, they'll start to become second nature. These things make a huge difference in your practice. It's what changes our yoga practice from just kind of jumping around the mat, going through the motions, to making it an internal practice, a powerful practice, where we can actually get to the point where it's like a moving meditation. Okay? And when I'm teaching, I'm continually reminding you about these things. You know, close the mouth, breathing in and out through the nose, slow the breath, elongate the breath. Uddiyana Bandha, tuck the belly inward and upward to lengthen the spine. Don't belly breathe. Okay? Gaze at the tip of your nose, gaze at your navel, etc. Okay? So I hope this is helpful. I hope you can incorporate it into your practice. These things are invaluable for beginners, for new students to Ashtanga, and they're also very important reminders for people that have been practicing for a long time. Okay? So thanks for your time. If you like this video, click like on the bottom. That kind of helps get the energy going, inspires us to continue to do these kind of videos to help you. If there's something in particular you would like me to talk about or share, you can leave a comment below as well, letting us know, and we'll try to pick it up in one of the subsequent videos. Until then, namaste, shanti out.